Right, episode 5. We've got Calum Richardson. Calum, I know you've got a lot going on, and I don't know how you found the time to fit this in, but I'm pleased that you have, and I appreciate it, mate. So, thank you. Um, well, I'm going to struggle a bit on this one because obviously we had a catch up a couple of weeks ago in Marbella, so I've kind of asked you everything that I kind of wanted to know about your adventures, but I am going to ask you again because there's still stuff that people might want to hear. That could be like inspirational to people because it's definitely been inspirational to me. But first, I'd like to kind of go back and like do it in kind of chronological order, if that's a big word for me. That
Fucking hell! There's no way you know that word. Did you
I
get
think
a
I just
dictionary
got
for
it wrong.
Christmas?
I might have used it in the wrong context there, but I mean, I want to go back into to young Callum, if that's all right, and back a long time to when you were in the Navy.
That's a long
Because
time.
I was in the TA for 7 years.
I was in Baghdad before you were in your dad's bag.
No, actually, that's where I'm going to struggle the most with this podcast. Your sense of humour. But we'll start again. Where was I? You've totally threw us already.
Back to the
I want to
Navy.
go back to the Navy, mate. How old were you when you joined the Navy?
I was 16 years old and 16 3 weeks old when I went away on the train. Mm-hmm.
Was it something you'd wanted to do, or did you kind of just fall into it?
No, always wanted to join the Navy. That was a key thing. I wanted to join the Navy. I wanted to be a chef or a photographer. I went to the careers office and they said, well done, you've passed all the tests. You're going in as an engineer. And it was like, what the fuck? But for me, it was like the Navy was the thing I really, really wanted to do. And it was honestly probably one of the best things I'd done. It set me the kind of platform of where I am now, because I fall back on it all the time with the standards and like the mentality, camaraderie. As you know, I sometimes have a little bit of banter, but yeah, it was what my heart was set on.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely had an impact on me. Like I was about to start saying before, I was in the TA for about 7 years. I joined when I was 17. Before I joined, I was like very quiet and like, I mean, I am still quiet now, but like I was very like shy and stuff. And that definitely built like a lot of confidence. And you hear people say all the time, don't you, that have been in the armed forces that have kind of built them up, made them into like sort of who they are today. Like I was going to say that. Do you think that's where, like, do you think a lot of your personalities kind of came from that now, or do you think?
Yeah, I was always one for banter, but it made me understand when there was a time for banter and when there was a time to get your head down and crack on. I learned a lot from having loads of different bosses over the years of who got the most out of people and who didn't. So, a boss would turn around and say, where are you going? So, I'm going for a coffee. And he'd be like, no, you've got more cleaning to do. Whereas another boss would say, yeah, no problems, just call it a day. And then what would happen is in the middle of the night, you'd get woken up because an engine had broken down. You knew who you were jumping out of bed for. It worked a two-way street. And I think I learned a lot from that. Although the hardest transition coming out of the Navy or any forces is you are militarized.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, like my old nickname was a Führer because I was like fucking Hitler, right? But that's just because that's how I was made for 10 years or just shy of 10 years. You can't just drop that, but you can't be like that now. If you're like that in this day and age, you're going to have no staff. You're going to probably go to jail because you can't treat people that way anymore. And I kind of seen that changing over the years, but I think fundamentally the whole ethos of the way I am now is a lot to do with that. And I think I think also one of the big power killers, I think, in the forces is how you deal with situations, because you practice for emergencies all the time, fires, floods, fucking first aid. Every day they're doing something. So you evaluate and you learn that you've got to make mistakes and you've got to evaluate from a mistake that you've made. But you also realize that being around people is one of the best things. Talking is one of the best things. And that, you will not get better. I'm going through a transition at the minute, and I'm getting a lot of messages from all these folk that I served with 20 odd years ago, and they're all sending me messages, and they're all willing to drop what they're doing just now to come and see me, and you don't get that from just normal civilian life. It's something that, like a friend of mine who passed away a few years ago, and I met up with him at a reunion, and we hadn't seen each other for, I don't know, 15, 20 years. And straight away he asked me how my mum and dad were. Did they still have the kennels? How's your sister? You know so much about each other. You know more about each other than probably family know about you, because you are very open. When you're living 24/7 with people, you become very open. And I think that has been solid foundation for me.
Yeah, I get that, because obviously I think obviously when we done, and we can get onto it later, me and you done the Everest Base Camp trek together, and obviously when you're spending time like close together, you get to know people a lot better than you would if you just in any other context, wouldn't you? Like it was
Mhm.
so did you go on, like, I don't know how it works, did you go on like deployments and stuff in the Navy, or do you, like, are you just based on a boat like the whole time and you?
So basically, you do your basic training, and then you do your specialised basic training, and then you get sent to a ship. So you're going to be signed to that ship for usually 2.5, 3.5 years. Um, and then you go on deployment from that. But you go away as a group all the time. And the ship's crew changes, so like people leave and come, new folk join all the time. But yeah, you're stuck with people for quite a good while, and if it's a good ship, so I was on the Liverpool, a 42 destroyer. I ended up doing over 5 years on it because I enjoyed it. So I just kept extending my draft because I didn't want to go shore based. I wanted to be at sea. I wanted to go around the world. I didn't want to be home every weekend because that's just like being a civilian.
Yeah, how long were you in for?
Just shy of 10 years. It was like 9.5 years.
Aye. So, did you go straight from that into the fish and chip shop, or was there like a gap in between where you done something
So
else?
I had quite a funny transition. So like, um, I had the opportunity to come out because I was getting married to my first wife, and they had a fish and chip shop, and I was already helping out anyway, but the opportunity was for me and her to take over the lease of the business. And so I handed my notice in, and back then it was a year and a half's notice you had to give. So it was a big decision. You it's pretty hard putting a year and a half's notice in and
Yeah,
not have something. So I put the notice in, but I actually ended up getting medically discharged because I'd been having migraines for about 5 or 6 years, and my doctor changed in the Navy, and they were like, I had to inject myself every day in the leg with this painkiller for my headaches, and they said, "You operate machinery?" And I said, "Yeah." They said, "That's an addictive drug that you're on. You shouldn't be around machinery." I wasn't even allowed back on the ship to get my clothes. They wouldn't let me on. So I ended up getting a medical discharge. So it was quite ironic, but that was a strange transition. I got a medical discharge, but they weren't willing to pay me anything because I was already leaving. So I said, "Well, hang
right.
on a minute. If I want to go offshore to be an engineer on oil rigs, I won't be able to go because I've been medically discharged." So I did end up getting a payout in the end, but I was clever. I took a small payout, and it was one that I could still claim now if I was getting the headaches. But the problem with it is the repercussions of that outweigh taking the money, because it would
Yeah,
stop you probably doing so many things in life. And
yeah.
plus the headaches have gone anyway. So, but yeah, it was quite a strange transition. So I went into the first business with my ex family. Then I opened my next business with a business partner. He was the most vocal, silent business partner you've ever had in your life. He was at the end of his career, and I was at the start of mine. And it took me 2 years to get part that company. It was a very, very tough time. But when I look back now, it was painful at the time. I look back now, I don't feel the pain of it now. I actually learnt so much. So, like, I wrote in my journal today, there's something positive out of every negative, and that's a fact. It's you've got to look at it differently. So the pain was there, but actually, it's made me the better businessman now, and it made me make the mistake at the start of my business career and not now, where fuck, it would be costly. But,
Yeah, yeah.
so when I look back at it, I kind of needed that lesson.
So Did you learn about do you think you learned about more about leadership and management from you starting the fish and chip shop, or do you think you learned a bit more about that in the Navy?
I think the
Did you have rank in the
fundamental
Navy
of
in
that,
that when you left?
so I think that would have created the leadership was there. I was doing all the rotas there, and I've been doing that for years. I had responsibility, so like I was in a job where I worked on my own a lot of the time, so I had to create responsibility and be accountable for my actions. So being in charge of people wasn't such a problem. Speaking to people wasn't a problem. And I noticed this quite early on about, telling staff what to do. Whereas, my ex partner was scared to say something because scared of the answer or what people would think. Whereas I wasn't so scared of that because it was something I had to just do. Um, what the biggest learning curve for me probably was learning about trusting people because I was too trusting. I am still too trusting, evidently, but I was too trusting back then. I thought everyone was exactly the same as me, but everyone wasn't the same as me. Everyone had their own agenda, and that was my biggest learning curve.
Yeah, I remember you done a training for Insider, obviously Alliance, about business, and you mentioned about the
Uh-huh.
Führer thing that you mentioned before, and I learned a lot from that. It kind of held a mirror up to me a little bit because I'd had staff on in the past. I've had lads working for us, and I used to just think that I used to blame everything on them, and do you know what I mean? They were to blame for not. But then, obviously, with the training that you doing, it was like, no, actually, it's on you, and I learned a lot from when you did that, and.
I think what you've got to realise is something I've learned, and it's what I teach within Forked Up is you've got to show, not tell. You've got to show people how to do things, not tell them how to do it. Because when we
Yeah.
dictate and we tell people what to do, there's only so many people that will understand it or adhere to it. Whereas if you show them, hands-on show, then there's less of a communication barrier. Because if I'll give you an example, and I think I said this in the training. I said to someone I wanted the fish fridge cleaned, and then I went into the fish fridge at the end of the night, and it was like not clean. So the Führer got on the phone and it's like, what the fuck is going on here? You haven't cleaned it. I fucking did. And I got into an argument, and I said, I'm going to check CCTV. You check CCTV. So I did, and he did clean it. It just wasn't how I wanted it cleaned. So I had to hang on a minute, I've got to own this moment. Shit, he did clean it. But has anyone shown him what to do to my standards, to my Navy standards, my captain rounds, right? So then I thought, shit. And then it made me think about, I went to, this was years on, I was at a restaurant in Copenhagen. It was a Michelin-starred restaurant. And bear in mind, this was a 2-star Michelin, and the waiter came up to me and he got down right to my level and looked at me and he says, right, what would you like? What recommendations? And I'm like, Jesus Christ, very British. Well, that's a bit strange. But then it was very comfortable. It was because we've got that British thing where folks stand above you and they dictate, or what would you like? Oh, I don't know. This guy was it made me think, because I thought about this deeply, and it made me think about when you're in a nursery, the nursery teachers get on the mat and play with the kids and show them what to do and teach them. They don't stand above a little baby or a little child and dictate what to do. So we've got to think about that in Always Alive, because that's how they learn. So
Yeah.
how you expect, if you dictate to people, they're not going to learn anything. If you get down to their level and show them how to do it, so for you, I don't know, cutting a skirting board or whatever it is you want to do, if you just say, look, this is what you're meant to do, go on and do it, you're probably going to end up falling out with them. Whereas if you get on your hands and knees and show them what the mistakes are going to be, and teach them that mistakes are okay. We need to celebrate the mistake, because if we don't, then we hide things. And all my staff will tell you, if you hide something from me, I always find out. If I find out, I blow my tits, right? Whereas if they put their hand up and say, hey, I broke something, when I come into work tomorrow, I know I've got it dealt with. I've ordered something new and that's it. Okay, it's not ideal, but guess what? It's better than walking in today needing something and it's fucking broken. So we've got to teach, not tell, and we've also got to take ownership and celebrate mistakes.
Yeah, obviously make sure that they learn from their mistakes when they do happen, because they will inevitably happen, won't they? So,
Yeah.
yeah. So how did the fish and chip shop of the year come about then? Where did that? How long had you been? How long had you had the bay? Because you've got the bay fish and chips. Is it in Aberdeen? Is it?
Yeah, Stonehaven, just south of Aberdeen. I've had that now, be 20 years this year. I built that. So when I came away from the last shop with that business partner, I had that 6 years. I'd already been in competitions then, so I won Young Fish Fry of the Year then. But I knew the power of awards. And one of the agreements of me moving away from my business partner, I wasn't allowed to tell everyone that I'd moved. So I thought, well, I know how you can tell everyone without tell everyone. Enter awards, because the publicity from an award is not me. It's from someone else. So that
Yeah,
fueled me. But one of my biggest things I always say is, when your back's against the wall, you perform the best. When you get comfy, you get slack. But when your back's against the wall, when money's tight, when you're short of staff, whatever it may be, you perform better. It'd be like you painting. If you know that
yeah,
you've got two houses to get complete, guess what? You just don't look at your phone and scroll. You know that you realise that how much time you waste in life. So I
exactly.
think when your
Aye,
back's against the wall, you perform the best. So, but 20 years this year I've had the bay, and that's where I got into the awards big time. For me, I realised the power of the awards, how much footfall it would drive to business, how much it meant to the staff. And a lot of the staff, it's just a part-time first ever job. They're at college, uni, school. So it means that they feel like they've got some worth. I remember when I was doing Fish and Chip Shop of the Year, I won Scotland but didn't win the whole UK. And I bought everyone an iPad to say thank you, because I knew the money that I was going to get back from them being happy was worth more than what an iPad was going to cost me. So it's like, what goes around in life comes around in life.
aye, class. You've got. We've joked about it before. I've said in the past that if I'd lived up there, I would have. I would have been your best customer. I lived on chips when I was a kid, but I still do now. Now, to be fair, I, I've been tempted to drive up for the weekend just to try your fish and chips, and I might at some stage. Like, but
Well, you can do it when you paint. You can do it when you paint my garage.
you've got to be on the road though, haven't you? So I'm hoping that comes down this way somewhere. Or is it just like events and that you do with that, or is it like weddings and stuff? Or
It's a lot of weddings and parties and things like that.
aye. So where did Forked Up come about then? Was that from the fish and chip shop, or was it something completely different?
No, it was from the fish and chip shop. So what happened was, I've been consulting all around the world for years and years, 15 years maybe. I've been helping others, and that's kind of part of my DNA. I always look after everyone else before I look after myself. It's probably a pitfall of mine. Um, and I was doing that, but the problem was, it was taking over my life, but it was controlling my time. So it was controlling my time. Other people were controlling it. So, like, just say, for instance, I was helping a business open in America. They flew me out there to help them open. And when I arrived, they were nowhere near ready to open. And I'm like, what the fuck have you flown me out for? And then they asked me to come back 3 weeks later as well. And I'm like, shit, I've got stuff on. So I'm rejigging, because I don't like to upset or fail people. And then another example would be Edinburgh Zoo. I was helping Edinburgh Zoo open, and they've got my product and that in there in the fish and chip shop they've got. And they had a delay, but the delay wasn't their fault. It was like the gas didn't turn up on time, and electric and gas is like out of your control. So that meant they delayed their opening. And their opening was when I was on a family holiday. Old Calum would have said, "Oh, we've cancelled the family holiday. We've got to get this business open." Whereas now I'm like, mate, I can't fucking do it. Can you send your staff? Well, no, because they're all looking after my business. So I just dried that up, because it was like causing too much friction, and I don't like failing. And it wasn't until I was doing a mastermind with Paul Moore, our coach, and he said to me, "I don't know why you're not fucking doing a 90-day program teaching people." And I said, "You know what? It would be far better idea, because you can't. The problem you've got when you go to help people is they want so much information off of you, and you can't. make anything happen with a shit ton of information in a short space of time. Whereas if you pace it out and create a better foundation, so we decided we were coming up with some names on our day mastermind, and it
It's a
was
great name, by
quite
the way.
quite nautical, the ideas of the names that we were coming up with. And then we decided the name's not relevant at the moment. And I was driving back to Aberdeen to an awards ceremony that night. And I don't think I was even at Edinburgh, and I'd come up with Forked Up in my head. And that was it.
I
Done.
love it. I think the logo is class as well. It's really good. Like if anyone, like, who's it for? Like, who would you recommend it
So,
to?
so, so Forked Up Hospitality Training is a 90-day training program with me. So, you know, I mean, I've been uber successful in my business, but I have had so many falls, trips, bumps, fucking disasters, you know, all the way along my journey, and still to this day, still have them. But it's how you deal with them, and it's about getting a balance between business and family. Again, been a big problem of mine over the years. So it's for business owners in the hospitality industry, and I think a lot of folk seem to think it's when you're fucked you need to come to me, but actually when you're fucked you probably can't afford me. So you need to get on it before you get to that stage. While you've even if you're flying, this can make you fly even more. Like, so a prime example for me would be when I won Fish and Chip Shop of the Year. I I was I run my business by the seat of my pants. I would just take day by day, and things came at me and I dealt with them, and I was getting so many amazing opportunities and I was jumping at them all and doing them. But when I look at it now, and I think if I was the version of me now, how much did I leave on the table? How much more could I have done? Because I was not organized. I was just fucking flying by the seat of my pants. But if I was organised, what opportunities more would have come my way, or what would I have taken from them opportunities? And that's kind of what I look at it now. And that's what I need to try and make folk understand. So even if you're flying, you're maybe not flying as much as you could be. You're not getting the squeeze out of the lemon that you want. You're not getting all the juice. You're leaving it half
Yeah.
squeezed.
It's like you were saying before as well, like when you could tell people want loads of advice and information from you, but when you just give it to them for free,
Mm-hmm.
they don't value it, do they? Because you don't value what's for free, do you?
Yeah, they don't value it, and 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 it takes up your time. You
Yeah,
gain
yeah,
nothing from
exactly. Yeah,
this.
yeah,
So
exactly.
like, and it's quite a hard thing. So one of the things that was stopping me from doing what I was doing, like the way I'm doing it now, was what I thought other folk in my industry would think about me, which is fucking daft. Why would, if you said to yourself in 10 years' time, you're going to turn over 100 grand a year from coaching, or you can let your ego fucking take over and you can hold yourself back.
Yeah. That's why I've put
That's a
off doing these
fucking
podcasts for so long as
that's
well. Like worried
that's a
about what
million.
people think.
That's £1 million. In 10
Yeah,
years, coaching, that'll
yeah,
be £1 million.
yeah,
And that's if it just stays at the position it's at now. So
yeah,
you've got to look at things different.
yeah. Aye. Why would you? Like I say, I've done it with this podcast. I wanted to do it for ages, or at least wanted to try it, see if I could do it. But I put off for too long because I was worried about what everyone would think about us. But
Everyone thinks you're a penis anyway, so it won't matter.
just you, Callum, just you. Um, I wrote it down because I didn't want to interrupt you when you were speaking before, but I wanted to get onto like the hiking stuff and that next. But
Uh-huh.
you mentioned about your mate in the Navy. Was that you did a hike for him, didn't you? And was it the Cape Wrath or something?
Yeah, it was a Cape Wrath trail. So I decided I wanted to do this for a long time. But I decided that I was going to go and do the West Highland Way first. So that's
That was the other
from
one that
pretty
you
much,
did. Yeah. I couldn't
yeah.
remember the name of the other one.
So that was Glasgow to Fort William. And I'd done that backpack the whole way, done it over, I can't remember, 4 days, 3 days, 4 days, I think it was. Camped out, and I was doing it on my own. But then my ex-wife's cousin wanted to do it with me. So I said, okay. Then she got jealous, so it ended up like a jamboree. But it was good. But that was, for me, was a test and a trial to see if I was going to want to do it, because doing 4 days is a big difference to doing something that's going to take between 2 weeks and 3 weeks on your own. So I always wanted to do it, but then what happened was my friend who had cancer when I was in the Navy had advanced cancer again. So he did big surgery in Bangkok. He came back to Ireland, and I went to visit him because his wife had said that he's collapsed. So I flew over to see him instantly that day, and I thought, fuck it, I'm going to do this climb for him. I'm going to do Cape Wrath Trail. You know, it's like 380 kilometres. There's a couple of routes you can take, but realistically, you just got to get from Fort William to the top northwest part of Scotland on your
Is it
own. Off
hilly?
you
Is
go.
it like up and down? Is it or?
Well, it's fucking Scotland. What do you think it is
Yeah,
like?
but is it over like
Eh?
the what they called
So
what they call
the
the
what
Munros
you're
and stuff?
yeah, yeah. So you scout round the side of them, you go over them. You know, the hardest thing for me actually on it was I'm going past some Munros and I quite wanted to climb them. And I could have gone up and down it in a couple of hours because I was nearly at the top of it anyway. But the problem is when you've still got 200 kilometres to go, it's a bit of a side fucking track. Like you don't want to be going
Yeah,
and doing that.
no.
It's like that's another day. Let's come back and do that, you know. So off I went, and I tell you what, it was probably one of the best things I've ever done, because it helped me mourn him on my own. I celebrated his life because I told a story about him every night, and I recorded it and put it all on YouTube. And it meant when I finished, I was in a good spot. I carried a gin and tonic all the way. It's here. Carried this gin and tonic, and I cut it in a pen holder, and I chinned this at the top at the lighthouse at the very end. It was a fucking emotional moment, though, I can tell you. But it was. I fell in love with it. I knew that this is what I like. It's what I do to clear my head. I like going on the mountains because there's no distractions. We're stripping back to basics. You know, there's virtually no phone signal, and it's nice to be forced to that situation
Yeah,
rather than like choosing to put your phone down. It's quite a difficult thing to do, especially in business.
yeah.
Yeah, but so I done the Cape Wrath Trail, and I'd done it in 14 days. I set off that I thought I'll do it in maybe 18. I could have finished in 13, but I decided to stop a night early, sit and celebrate what I'd done to that point. And then tomorrow was going to be about Arnie, my mate, celebrate his life, finish with a 10. So I wanted to celebrate my achievement before it kind of just all got washed away. And it was epic, you know. Although it was fucking windy that last night, someone's tent that was sleeping near me split in half and ripped open. So they had to fuck off. So I went to sleep with all my clothes on. It was like being in a disco. It was like a tent. It was going mental, but it was, I don't know, it was just part of the adventure, I think.
Did you get? Is that where you got the bug for it, or had you already done hikes and stuff before that, or was it like
Yeah,
was that the main?
I done it with my dad when I was younger. Like, he
Right.
was into mountains big time. He done mountain rescue as well. So like I've got photos of me up the top of Monroe's when I was 5, you know. And then you fall out of it because you're away and you're like in the forces and stuff. And then you're in a business where you can't have time. And then now the way I am now is I started creating time to do this because it's so good for your mental health.
Yeah, that's one of my goals this year to get. I'm gonna get a few of the Wainwrights in the Lake District. I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna head over there for a few weekends this year and bang a few of them out. But so was it long after that you decided to do the Everest Base Camp trek? Because that's where, like I say, where we met like properly.
So basically what happened with that one was I'd always wanted to do Everest, the summit, and I always
Yeah,
wanted to do the South Pole. That's the two things I've always wanted to do. Um, and then what happened was my wife, now ex-wife, had suggested I just go and do base camp and see if I enjoy it, see if I like it, because you know what I mean. It's not difficult. It's not physically difficult. It's quite mentally difficult. Um, And you've got to see if you like it. See if your body can cope with altitude, Dan. Um, but see if your body how your body will cope, because we don't know. You're not going to go and pay £70,000 to climb a mountain if we can't get to base camp. So I thought,
Yeah.
right, let's go. So she booked that for me for my 50th, and I said to Paul Mort I was going to do it. He's like, fuck, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And he says, I'm going to ask everyone in Alliance. And I'm like, don't do it. The next thing I've got folk messaging me. I'm thinking, Paul's told everyone in Alliance, isn't he?
Yeah.
But so like you say, April 2 years ago now, me, you, Paul, and Joe, off we went as a team to base camp, or some of us to base camp.
Yeah. Well, I had planned on doing Kilimanjaro that year, but obviously when I'd seen that yous were doing that, I thought I'd jump on that with yous, and at least I had a big company. And I'm pleased I did, because obviously you done Kilimanjaro after base camp, didn't you? And you said that, did you say it was the views or something that was like a bit underwhelming and stuff compared to the
I
Himalayas?
think if you do Kilimanjaro first, you'd love it. And don't get me wrong, it is shit hot, but there ain't much scenery. It's all about the people. The people are amazing. The guides are amazing. You know, the spirit of the mountain, it is amazing. But when you've done base camp and the scenery is off the scale every day, and it changes every day, so the closer you get to base camp, how
It
different
was
it
mad,
is,
wasn't
the
it?
weather changes. Yeah. And I think it made it a little bit underwhelming in the way of the views. But the achievement of Kilimanjaro was quite epic.
Yeah.
Summit in it with all the guides singing you all the way up the mountain. They fucking sang all night, singing you up the mountain. It was fucking crazy. But it's I don't think you'll get far away from the Everest base camp. I think one is value for money. What you get for
Yeah.
your money on that trek is unbelievable.
I don't think I'm done with it. Like, I think I'll be back doing it
You
again
need
at
to go
some
back
point,
and
because
complete that.
yeah, it's not
We
sitting
walked.
right with
We
us that I
walked.
didn't finish.
We walked too fast. I'll tell you that now.
Yeah, it was the
Since
sleep. I
I've got
think,
into
with me, I think I had something hanging on us before we went, and obviously I wasn't getting any sleep either. But so
and your
what was I was
diet.
going? Yeah.
Because
Well,
what people don't know is you came with a fucking shit ton of Greg's sausage rolls in your bag. That and sweeties, and all you were eating at every stop was chips. And
you're not supposed to eat meat though, are you? So I was quite limited to what I could eat on the trek anyway.
You were so desperate the night before that you had to get helicoptered home. You went out for a acclimatization hike to try and make yourself better, and you came back and garlic is really good, and it was garlic soup, and you're like, I'm not eating that. But they were saying this will help you, so I said dip your chips in it and just think it's garlic mayonnaise. I'm not fucking doing it, but you persevered. I felt so sorry for you when you went home, because I seen what it meant to you. You know what I mean? But at this point, it was too late. You were on a fucking hiding to nothing.
Yeah, I was fucked at Namche, I think. When we got to Namche Bazaar, that's when I started really feeling it. Like, my head was pounding, and I was just masking it with like paracetamol and ibuprofen from there. So I probably should have quit there, to be honest. But I, like you say, I'll try my best. Like, once I've got my mindset on something, I'll give it everything I've got.
Well, I didn't. I went to do Aconcagua in Argentina right this time last year, actually, and I had a private one-to-one, and I didn't summit. The night that we were summiting, we didn't do a full rotation of acclimatization hikes because the weather window was closing in, and he called me White Bull. He said, White Bull, you're going to manage this without going back down to base camp. So I had to take his word for it. You know, okay, I believe you. We slept at high camp, and we opened the tent at midnight, and it was a whiteout. And he's like, "Oof, we're not going yet." And we set off at like 3 a.m, and we trailblazed in the snow. And I wasn't acclimatized. I struggled, and I pushed and pushed and pushed. But it got to the point where after 3 steps, I was gone again, and then I had to wait, and then I was off again 3 steps, and it was it. I said, "No, I'm not. I'm done." But I went and attempted again, but I was done. My body was empty. My tank was empty, you know. But I'm not done with that mountain, because I think again, if we roll this back to what we talked about earlier on about failing, then that's where the learning is. So it made me double down for when I went to do the next mountain. I got a breathing coach because I knew that would help me with my breathing. I went and got a acclimatized altitude machine so that I could get acclimatized before the mountain, and I trained like fuck. So all of a sudden, I doubled down.
Yeah.
I put in a shit ton of effort, so the learning was there for me, and it made the next mountain fucking easy.
Yeah. I think I
So,
probably got a lot more from failing Everest Base Camp than I did if I'd got there. Like, there was so many positives that came from it. Like, obviously I
mhm.
got an
Well, I
interesting,
said this
funny
to you when
story to
you were
tell.
getting I said this to you when you were getting helicoptered off. I said, one, you've never been in a helicopter. And it picked you up and it went down the valley like it had just fallen out of the sky. I remember watching it. I've got a good video of it.
Yeah.
Two, you'd never flown anywhere on your own to go to do this expedition. There was so
Yeah,
many,
long
and
haul, I hadn't, no.
you were eating stuff that you wouldn't normally eat. There was so many
Yeah.
wins in here for you that the
Yeah.
summit, well, not the summit, the base camp, getting to the stone, the boulder, was only a byproduct of the wins for you, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Like, it's like I was saying before about like getting all the messages and stuff. Like, that was a big thing. I didn't realize that many people cared about us. I thought, you think you're in it on your own, don't you? But I got so many messages and that from people who I hardly even knew, like wanting to know that I was all right and stuff. Yeah. So what was Aconcagua like? Is that it's the highest in South America, isn't it, or
South
is it all
America.
of America? Because
Yeah,
it's
South America.
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah, that's quite a beautiful mountain. So you get to base camp there, and I arrived at base camp on Hogmanay, so that's New Year's Eve for you English. I arrived there, and they said to me, "There's a party tonight," and I'm like, "Really?" They said, "Yeah, yeah, but don't expect breakfast in the morning because this is going to be wild." And I'm thinking, "Fucking hell, we're like at 4,500 meters, and there was barbecues on and
the
everything,"
food
and I'm
there
like,
looked
"This
nice.
is." Oh, mate, fucking barbecues every night. The food was epic. The people were epic, to be honest. And the funny thing is, when I first got started with Paul Mort, and I done my hot pen technique, and I always wanted to go to South America. Right, it's always been on my hit list. And it wasn't until I was flying to South America to do Aconcagua I realised I was going to South America, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
It was a byproduct of the goal was the mountain, but actually, and then you're thinking, hang on a minute, I'm going to South America here. I'm going to fucking Argentina, you know? And it was unbelievable, you know? But it was stunning. And the funny thing is, it's a bit like Nepal. You you arrive and it's fucking roasting. And the further you go up the mountain, the colder it gets, you know, and you're like, how, one minute the sun's out and you're getting burnt to bits, and then the next minute you've got layers and layers of clothes on.
Aye.
But I think that was epic. I'm not done with that. I'll go
I was
back
going to
and
say,
summit that because
was that one of the hardest that you've done, or was it just the circumstances, like on the day, everything, like the weather and stuff? Was that what made it harder, or was it?
uh, I think the last day was the only bit I struggled on.
Yeah,
Like I was like the guide Lucio said to me that he was like I said, white bull. Again, I think I was walking too fast as well, to be honest. He was, bear in mind, he goes up and down this like a fucking donkey. He's like up, he, New Year, he'd been at the summit camping, and then he came down to pick me up 2 days later. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah,
like, when you're acclimatized, it's very difficult, and especially when you're
yeah.
not in a group, it's difficult. So I was just 1-to-1 with him. But it was just the last day. It was just purely not acclimatized, and conditions was shit. But that that'll get sorted. I'll go back and I'll complete that because I
Because
have to.
you went on from that to Manaslu, which is like higher. So in theory, you would think that would be harder, wouldn't you? But I don't
Well,
know.
this was where the mind fuck came. So I came down the mountain and Nimsdai was wanting to go for a meal with me. So I had a meeting with him and he asked what happened. I explained what happened with like the acclimatization. And I said, that's a bit of a problem now for doing Manaslu, because if I can't summit 7,000, how am I meant to get to 8,136? And he said, you'll get to the summit of Manaslu. He said, that's not why you didn't summit. You will make it. And I had doubt, but then I thought, I have total faith and respect for Elite Exped and Nims and Mingma David and TJ, such like, and they all said to me, you'll do it. for them, it's not a sale. I don't feel like it's just a give me a credit card details and we're going to get some money off you. They want people to succeed. They want people to summit. They don't want failure. They want to be able to turn around and feel like everyone's got there. I've watched them
Reputation, isn't it?
dragging people, almost carrying people to summits to help them. That's the goal. So when they said to me, "No, you'll manage," I had to believe in them. I've become very close friends with Nims, and we text and we message and stuff, and I thought he's not going to tell me this just for the sake of me to go there and fail again. Because 2 failures, how's that going to help his company? How's that? It's not going to help anyone. So I went and done it, and one of the moments for me when I was at base camp of Manaslu, and you're around people and you're saying, "Oh, what do you do?" "Oh, I'm a mountaineer," and I'm starting thinking, "Oh shit, I'm just a fish and chip owner. What makes you a mountaineer?" And I remember messaging Victoria saying, "Fuck," I almost had a little bit of overwhelm. Like this is an 8,000 meter, 8th highest in the world, one of the most deadly, and I'm thinking, am I a lunatic? Well, I kind of know the answer to that, but I thought, am I fucking out my depth? And she said, "What makes a chef a chef? What makes a fish fryer a fish fryer?" And I thought, that's a valid point. At some point you've got to turn around and say, if I climb mountains, I'm a mountaineer, you know? So then I thought, nah, fuck it. I believe in my ability. And there's one thing I have got is abundance of confidence, and that I use to my strength.
That only comes from doing hard things, though, doesn't it? Like, it's because you've done hard things before where you've built that confidence. So, I don't think I mentioned it in that as well. I think people don't. I don't know if people realize. Obviously, it's the 8th, isn't it? Is it the 8th highest in the world?
Yeah,
Manaslu.
8th highest in the world, Manaslu, yeah.
Yeah. There's 14 peaks that are above 8,000 meters, and that's obviously the 8th. Did you on when do you start using oxygen? Is that like when you go above 8,000, or is that like did you use it on Aconcagua? Or?
No, I didn't use it in Aconcagua. They carry it, but you don't use it.
Yeah.
Usually over 7,000 meters.
Is it? Aye.
So you're getting to the limit at Aconcagua,
Yeah.
and then when you're on Manaslu, you do your rotations. So you go base camp, below camp 1, back up to camp 1, stay the night, come back up to camp 1, go to camp 2, stay the night, come back down all the way up to camp 3, touch it, and you sit there for a few hours to acclimatise, come back down. But the next time you go to camp 3 is on your summit push. So you'll go base camp to camp 2, which is a tough day. And then you go camp 2 to camp 3. And you get up at, I think we got up at like 2 in the morning. And when you get up at 2 in the morning, you're now on oxygen. And then we go to camp 4, stay on oxygen, go to bed in camp 4 at about 5 o'clock at night, get up at midnight, still on oxygen, and you go for your summit push, and you stay on oxygen all the way down to camp 3.
Mad. Aye, it's so out of all them, what one's been your favourite so far? Obviously, I have a space camp because I was there.
Yeah, obviously. I think base camp is always going to be special because of what door it opened,
Yeah.
what emotions it opened, and it was my first touch of altitude. And what
Yeah.
I think you need to do it because you've got to learn what it does to your body and what it does to your
Definitely,
mind. So you soon realise that not sleeping at night is normal, or when you are sleeping, it's not like going to bed at home. You are light sleeping. You choke at night because there's not a lot of oxygen, so you need to prop your head up a little bit more. It's just you soon once you get comfortable with the uncomfortable, then it becomes a lot easier. But for me, Manaslu was pretty special. I'd done it for my sister because she's got MS, so there was a lot of leverage there for me. It was my first 8,000, and on the bounce of failing Aconcagua, it meant even more to me.
Yeah.
It had a lot of things. So I've got to probably say Manaslu. It was proper.
You raised a lot of money for that as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was in the end. $8,000 or $7,000 or something like that.
Yeah. Amazing.
So
Aye. So the next one was supposed to be Everest, but you've just told us pre-record that might
yeah,
be.
so I had Everest booked for April this year to summit with Elite Exped. Paid my deposit. And I was doing it for the hospitality industry, for a charity called Hospitality Action, which is for people that are going through financially bad times, mentally hard times. They're there as support for anyone in the hospitality industry. So I wanted to take hospitality top of the world. But unfortunately, last week I caught my wife, or now ex-wife, cheating on me for 8 months, which has upturned and changed everything in an instant. So my goals for the year, my goals for life have all changed. So within 24 hours, I thought I need to make a decision on Everest, because in another 2 weeks, I have to pay the full balance. And I thought, I'm going to lose my deposit, or I'm going to lose fucking everything. So the biggest problem is I have got family around me who are all. So my son Charlie lives with me, and he's an apprentice. So he needs lifts. I live in the country. He needs lifts back and forth to work, and he needs support. At the end of the day, I've got to be here, and for my daughter also. But you're committing to being away for 2 months. 2 months is a fucking long time. It's not a long time when you've got a solid foundation with you, living with you, and trustworthy people around you. So then you go away, because when you're on a mountain, you have to be at peace with what's going on at home, because you've got to be totally focused on what's ahead. Because you know what I mean. We're in fucking serious, dangerous territory here. We're
exactly.
not playing. It's not a game. So I had to take the decision. It wasn't fucking. I'm going to say it wasn't hard. It wasn't easy even, but it was actually quite easy, because I think this is, if it was old Calum, I would have still found a way how to do this mountain. I would have said, yeah, mum and dad, can you not go away to your boat? Can my sister help out? And that would have been helped out. But now I've got to look at my business. So my business would be left in the hands of my manager, who I trust wholeheartedly. But the problem is he would have no one to back him up, so that my ex-wife would not be here to help him. So 2 months again, what happens if he's ill? And let's face it, in this day and age, there's a good chance he'd get ill. If he's ill, my business is closed. So am I going to sacrifice my family, my business, for a mountain? No. And
Your
what
life.
happens now? What happens if something happens to me? Because there's a high chance I'll come back with some digits missing, some limbs missing, or don't come back. That's just a fact of life. When you take on a challenge like Everest, you've got to be comfortable with these things, and I was comfortable with them, but I can't be comfortable now, because if something happens to me on that mountain, what's going to happen to my business? What's going to happen to my children? There's not the foundation around them to support them. So I've decided no. So it doesn't mean no forever. It might happen next year, although it's quite I've thought about this last week. My ex-wife decided to go and do the base camp that you did, and I did, and then do Le Boucher, and she'd done that, and unfortunately she started having an affair with someone that she was on the trek with while I was on the trek. So mentally, I think now it'd be quite a hard thing to go on that trek to base camp, knowing that this is
Right.
where the start of her journey and the end of ours was. And this is what I've been thinking about quite deeply this past week. So can I be at ease staying in the same hotel in Kathmandu? Can I be at ease in these tea houses where the relationship was forming and things were happening? No, at the moment I'm struggling a bit with that. So it might be I do South Pole, because it was my other goal. So maybe I have to change it up and do South Pole next, and do Everest later if it still means anything to me. It does mean something to me, but I think that we've gone on about mindset. I can leave in the perfect mindset, but when I'm on that trail, as you know, you're walking and thinking, and that's what happens. You've got to be good with yourself. And if I've got these things going through my head, it's pretty raw and difficult. So, I don't know if I'll be doing Everest. Like at the moment,
Mate.
I say to myself, I might do it next year, but I think I might change plan and do South Pole, because it's something that some dirty little weasel's not fucking wrecked my life on.
It's as you say as well, mate. It's a matter of life or death. If you've got them thoughts in your head, it's like it's not something you can take any chances with, is it? Really. So yeah,
Things,
I totally
things,
get it, mate.
things happen for a reason. And what goes around in life comes around. I'm a great believer in both of them things. So
Yeah,
their comeuppance will come. But for me, maybe it wasn't meant to be. The mountain wasn't meant to be just now. So
yeah.
I'm good with my decision. It'll be hard watching all my friends that I was going to do it with heading off in a few months, but I'm good with my decision because I'm a better person now than I was years ago, and I've made my decision based on the people and the things around me rather than on me and my ego.
Well, it's mad. I don't even know what to say to that. You've just it's because obviously I seen you a
Well,
few
at
weeks
least
ago in Marbella, and
in
you what
Marbella,
like you would have
yeah.
never knew.
But I can
Mad.
tell you now, uh, um, there was no way that you were shagging on Everest Base Camp. You couldn't even fucking breathe.
I'm surprised that's the only joke that you've cracked
No, I've just got another
the
one.
whole
It's just come at
podcast.
me. I thought I was good in bed till I found out that Victoria was fucking had altitude sickness.
Fucking hell. Oh
Ah,
well,
well,
we'll wrap
there we
that up
go.
then, Callum. As I say, I'm really grateful that you've took the time to do it, especially with everything else that you've got going on now that I didn't know about before. I thought you were busy anyway, but then obviously with all that as well. I dread to think what you're going through, but like I say, I'm really pleased that you've come on. Thank you, and I'll hopefully good luck with whatever mad expedition that you go on next. I
No
was going
worries.
to say good luck with Everest, and I'll be following it closely. But obviously, I'll be following whatever you do next closely, and hopefully I'll see you at the next quarterly in Manchester.
Well, what you can bet your bottom dollar on is it ain't the end because I've always got something I want to do. And it'll
Yeah.
probably mean it'll become bigger and better because that's the way I operate. My back's now against the wall, so to speak. So while my back's against the wall, it's when I perform at my best. It's when the thinking head comes on. I get out of my comfort zone. So stand by. 2026-27 will be the best. And I want to finish by saying, Dan, well done for doing this because I know how much out of your comfort zone this is.
Oh,
But when we were
unbelievable.
in Marbella, you put on a set of sunglasses, got on the stage and sung Oasis, and I was blown away. You were shit hot. But this is you stepping out your zone, and I take my hat off to you, sir.
Mate,
Well
I'd rather
done.
have a fight. I'm like this is you like you say, it's totally out of my comfort zone. I'd rather there's loads more things I'd rather be doing than this, but it's because it scares us why I feel the need. Why I feel the need to do it. Do you know what I mean? But
Aye.
yeah, hopefully, like if you want to go on any treks or any hikes on Munros or Wainwright, give us a shout. I'll be more than happy to come along with you.
No worries. Thank you, my friend.
Thank
You
you.
can take the Greg's sausage rolls.